Amendment of Education Act 1990, Number 8. Schedule 1.1 adds definitions of gender fluidity and matters of parental primacy, which are those core values, such as moral and ethical standards, political and social values, and matters of personal well-being and identity, which parents are primarily responsible for teaching and forming in their children. Schedule 1.2 amends the principles of the Act to clarify the principle that parents are primarily responsible for the education of their child, includes the responsibility for the teaching of matters of parental primacy.
And the biological
Schedule
science of
1.3
gender.
adds to the objects of the Act an express recognition that the education of children must be consistent with the principles of the Act, which includes the principle that parents are primarily responsible for teaching in matters of parental primacy. Schedule 1.4 adds further objects to the Act which provide that provision of education must be consistent with parental convictions in relation to matters of parental primacy, and which reflects the fundamental human rights of parents as set out in Article 18D of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights.
Science.
Schedule 1.5 adds wording to establish that courses of study for a high school
gender, and
certificate must foster physical and spiritual development consistently with parental convictions in relation to matters of parental primacy. Schedule 1.6 adds a provision that prohibits the teaching of gender fluidity in any courses to study for the curriculum for children in primary education, kindergarten through to year 6. Schedule 1.7 adds a provision that prohibits the teaching of gender fluidity in any courses of study for the curriculum for children in secondary education, years 7 to 10. Schedule 1.8 adds a prohibition that prohibits the teaching of gender fluidity in course of study in the curriculum for higher school certificate candidates, year 11 and year 12. Schedule 1.9 adds provisions which requires the New South Wales Education Standards Authority to indicate those parts of any syllabus which includes content relating to matters of parental primacy and which prohibit the development or endorsement of any syllabus for a school which teaches gender fluidity. Schedule 110 inserts these sections into the Act which is family prohibit and gender the teaching socially of gender fluidity in all schools, and that there is some kind of conspiracy to deny them their true identity,
and no part of our culture
extends these requirements to all staff at government schools. D allows parents to object to teaching on matters of parental primacy, and E requires consultation by schools with parents on matters of parental primacy. Schedule 1.11 provides that the function of the New South Wales Education Standards Authority to provide advice and assistance to students and employers on the nature of courses of study is extended to include an obligation to provide advice and assistance to parents. Schedule 1.12 adds a new provision that gives the New South Wales Education Standards Authority an additional function of preparing and making available to schools such resources as will be necessary to give parents key information about matters of parental
got to make sure that the government can never make Christians and other religious people do things that they regard as being morally wrong. I am a Christian. I am a Christian. Religious people do things that they regard as being morally wrong, full of proclaiming four of the most glorious words of our civilization.
The obligation to recognize that parents are primarily responsible for their children's education in relation to matters of parental primacy. Where there is a non-compliance, the authority may recommend taking specific action by the department, and the Secretary must advise the authority of any action that it takes to deal with the non-compliance. Schedule 1.14 provides that the requirement of government schools to provide non-sectarian and secular instruction includes a requirement not to teach gender fluidity. Schedule 1.15 asserts a requirement that the minister is to review compliance by schools with the prohibition on the teaching of gender fluidity,
a requirements
to recognize parental responsibility for education of programs and matters of parental primacy
must recognize that
Schedule
parents are
2
responsible for
Amendment
the
of
education
Education
of children in
Standards
matters of
Authority
parental
Act
primacy,
2013
and that such
number
courses
89.
must not teach gender
Schedule
fluidity.
2.1
The
adds
professional
definitions
teaching
of
standards
gender
must
fluidity
also make it
and
a
matters
condition of
parental
accreditation of
primacy.
teachers and other
Schedule
qualified
2.2 adds a
2.2
provision that provides
the authority must revoke accreditation for any person who develops
Schedule
courses
1.9
or
adds
any
provision
teacher who teaches in a way that teaches gender fluidity or fails to recognize the responsibility of parents for education in matters
provision that prohibits the teaching of gender fluidity in any courses of
socially constructed.